Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hey, everybody. All right, this is one of my dream interviews because everyone who knows me knows I love Chardonnay. And I'm super excited. We have Rachel Martin with us today, who is actually the founder of a winery that sells a fabulous Chardonnay that I actually love. And it's an amazing story because only 10% of women own wineries. So we're going to hear about her journey and how she got to where she is today. Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks so much, Christina. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, I want to know everything about your life. Like because that's my dream. Like how you don't wake up when you're 18 and say, oh, I'm going to have a winery someday. So I always love to tell the story of the journey, like how we got to where we got, because as we know, at our age, there are a lot of pivots along the way. So how does it start? How does the journey start getting to own a winery?
Well, lucky for me, my journey started with my family. Let's see. My stepfather brought me into the wine industry. His name is John Cook, and he's been a collector of fine wine for, I guess maybe I could probably say half a century or a little bit more. So when I was growing up, he shared a lot of these wonderful Bordeaux wines with us at the dinner table. Not every day we celebrated with those wines, but at special occasions, which really was meaningful because these wines are meant to be, looked at a different way than daily wines. So that's kind of how I was introduced. And then my stepfather, John, he used to own the Washington Redskins football team before Snyder bought it. And so once he no longer had those responsibilities, he went into his dream, which was to build a winery and plant a vineyard, and brought me in as the executive vice president of that company. I went to school for wine to prepare myself in Bordeaux at the University of Bordeaux in France, and then also in Napa at Napa Valley College. So I went in running, all the operations, learning how to build a winery from scratch. And that's how it was reasonably easy to start my own winery, Oceano Wines, in 2016.
Okay, I want to go back a little bit because you said a lot in all that. Because I have a funny experience too. I went with my girlfriend, Mindy. Her father actually developed Buckhead in Georgia. So he was very wealthy, very successful. And like your stepfather had this incredible wine collection. And I don't know, we are 20, 21 years old. We're at the formal dining room and he's serving us this beautiful wine. But, I'm 20 years old, still drinking Franzia out of a box. So I did not appreciate it. Like the first time you had a good wine, did you actually like it? Or you're like,
I loved it. Yeah. So okay. I guess my palate was ready for wine, from day one, but we always had it with food. So maybe that was another thing that it really,
Oh no, we had it with food. It was a big fancy dinner, but I guess my palate wasn't ready for it. Like
ready?
It is now.
I was, 16 when I started drinking fine wine. So that kind of brings me to another project we could talk about later.
You go to France. Like, what a dream. I didn't even know that existed.
No idea. It was incredible. I was a little bit intimidated because at the University of Bordeaux, they teach in French. As an American, and us Americans, if we don't have family members speaking other languages, we typically learn rudimentary foreign languages. So I went in baptism by fire, so to speak. And but I was I immersed myself in the culture. I didn't know anyone in Bordeaux. So that was, in fact, tough, but it was a positive because I was forced to, get to know the shopkeeper across the street. And Bordeaux is one of these provincial towns where you have these individual, small businesses where you get to know the owners. And so they helped me piece together my apartment. And it was fun. And I was the only American they really knew. Bordeaux, of course, is in Paris, and it's a small town. When you're outside of the wine regions, you don't have all of that tourism. So it was, I was this novelty, young.
Yeah.
I was young at the time, young woman, just kind of out there, very friendly, and I don't know. It was tough, but it just paid back, with the connections that I made, the culture that I experienced and adopted. So yeah, it was a dream come true.
Wow. How brave though. Had you at least had like a year of French in high school, or you went cold?
No, I had French in high school, and I tried to prepare myself. I had a tutor because I went to school in Napa first to learn wine in English and then go to France. And I had a French tutor in Napa, but it still didn't, prepare me I had to get, this is dumb things like a bank account, an apartment. I had to get internet and a mobile phone. And these are things you take for granted when you do it in your own native language.
Yeah. Wow. So how many years did you study wine, like actually between Napa and Bordeaux?
I studied wine for 2 years. So it wasn't an extensive, because I was never to be the winemaker. I was to run everything and understand the business and the winemaking decisions and vineyard decisions. I did make wine in school. I did grow grapes in school. But my goal was not to be a winemaker. My goal was to be a winery executive.
Okay. So then you come back to Virginia.
That was a culture shock.
Right. Middleburg.
I tried to extend it as long as possible. I was like, I'd like to stay through the summer, even though I completed my studies like in June. And my stepfather was like, oh yeah, no, we're coming back to work. So then I arrive in, Middleburg, which is a rural town. I think at that time in the town of Middleburg, there's 600 residents of Middleburg, and not a lot of community around wine. Coming from Bordeaux, the epicenter of wine, and then going to Middleburg, I didn't have a lot of peers in the industry. So it was a little isolating, but Middleburg is a gorgeous area. How can you complain? How can you complain? Boxwood is my family's winery, Boxwood Estate Winery in Middleburg, is a 175 acre farm on the National Register of Historic Places. It's a former home of General Billy Mitchell, who started the U.S. Air Force. The home he lived in is the home my parents live in. And then, we have all different homes on the property. I still have one there. The winemaker and vineyard manager are a married couple, and they also live on the farm. And then my brother, Sean, who now runs Boxwood, and did before, but now, since in my absence, has taken over my responsibilities too. So Sean lives there as well. It's a kind of like out of a storybook.
Yeah, I've driven by it. It is beautiful. So you did a lot for Boxwood though, right? Boxwood was a small winery, local.
Boxwood didn't exist, right? The winery. So, I was there siting the vineyard with our consulting viticulturist. Her name is Lucy Morton. She's a Virginia resident. So Lucy and I cited that together. We got a backhoe, dug 6 feet deep pits to analyze the soils. This is me, Lucy, John, my stepdad, and my mom, Rita. We were all doing this together. This is 2002. So I was there from the get-go. And then, imagine social media. It was just the beginning of Twitter and Facebook. And so I created all of those accounts. I figured out interstate shipping. I figured out, we have a state-of-the-art winery. How does this all work? I worked hand in hand with our winemaker, his name is Adam McTaggart. At that time, he was also the vineyard manager, and I relayed to my stepdad. And so, yes, I was instrumental in all of it. And then my brother came later on, and we had wine bars in the DC metropolitan area, and Sean was in charge of those, called the Tasting Room. Really a family affair. So I was the first one there, and I built I built all of our distribution, our branding, our social media, running the operations, all packaging. I had to figure out sourcing glass, sourcing corks, sourcing capsules. None of us had ever done that before. So it was an exciting, never-ending, new tasks to do, even designing our labels. So I designed our original labels and getting them approved by the TTB, which is the Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, the federal body that oversees all of wine production. So I learned all of these steps to building a flourishing industry. And then, of course, Boxwood, we not only distributed wholesale, so we sold, we started a wine club, we had a tasting room, we had wine bars, we had wholesalers in multiple states, maybe 10 or 12 states, and then started exporting to Quebec, Canada, and then also to the UK. So it's just a lot of stuff from 2002.
But it's such a great story that, you didn't learn that in Bordeaux and Napa. You learned wine there. You figured out how to grow this winery into, a worldwide brand now. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We talk about this. We're get shit done girls. Like you figure it out.
It was a joy to do all of it.
And you made mistakes along the way. I always love to point that out because there is we don't just, fairy tale. Now I have a winery. I'm sure it was a lot of work over a long period of time.
I figure so much of my value is the mistakes that I made, because I know now how to do things properly, because I've done it all, I want to add one thing that I forgot, which is kind of a big deal. I petitioned for Middleburg, Virginia to be a recognized wine growing region. It's called an AVA, an American Viticultural Area. Most people know an AVA by Napa or Sonoma or Napa Valley or Sonoma Coast. These are all American viticultural areas. There were only 6 in Virginia at the time, and I wrote the 7th AVA, and it's called Middleburg, Virginia, which was established in 2012.
Amazing. Congratulations. Amazing. Okay. So now you've done Boxwood and it's now successful. What makes you go off on your own? And let's talk about Oceano.
Yeah. So, the wine industry and grape growing industry is very unique. And your network, just spider webs out because there aren't that many of us, but it's all word of mouth. It's all who it's all connected. So the story starts with my husband, Kurt Deutsch. I met Kurt at the Middleburg Film Festival. he produced a movie musical called The Last 5 Years. And it was the opening night film at the festival in 2014. I was on the board of the festival. There was a dinner before the showing of his movie. We were randomly sat across the table from each other. That's how we met. And then fast forward, we start dating. And in 2016, I start to meet his family and his family friends. Henry Warshaw is his dad's very close friend and next door neighbor. Henry has a vineyard called Spanish Springs, where I now source fruit exclusively for Oceano Wines. So he said, "Oh, you have a vineyard. I have a vineyard. Why don't you come visit my vineyard in San Luis Obispo, California? It's beautiful. It's right on the coast." And I mean, I am the type of person, if I see an adventure or an opportunity, I jump to it and will jump over hurdles to participate. So that's what I did. I flew out to San Luis Obispo to Spanish Springs Vineyard. I immediately fell in love with it. The soil combinations of limestone, marine shale, sandstone, fossilized shells, and its proximity to the ocean, a mile and a half away. It's designed, planted into a canyon. So you have this bowl with different elevations and hillsides. I immediately knew I could make a great wine from there. And it inspired me so much to start Oceano Wines just from that first visit. I contracted immediately for 6 tons of Chardonnay, and then I had to figure it out.
How long does it take to make a vintage?
Well, pretty much you have to know what you want. So when you're working with a grape grower, you have a contract. It's smart to get your contract set before the beginning of the growing season year. So I would say you start to plan Q4, and then the next year you work with the growers, and then your harvest happens in between September and November. And then you make your wines, you age your wines in barrel, and then you bottle, usually in June of the following year. And then you don't have your wines to market for another, say, maybe 6 months. So it's something like 24 months before your wine is actually available for purchase each vintage.
It's so fun. But let's talk about the things that you're doing for sustainability, because we talked about this, like the glass and the screw tops. And I mean, you're really making an impact with what you're doing, not just creating an award-winning wine. With Chardonnay was 2017 Domestic Wine of the Year.
Domestic Wine of the Year. That was a great call to take.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. But let's talk about the extra. So you've got this amazing wine, but you're doing a lot of stuff to help the environment too, not just producing amazing wine.
Absolutely. And it's a topic that's very important now more than ever, is sustainability and your carbon footprint. We're doing everything we can to lessen our carbon footprint. When we started Oceano, we had glass bottles that weren't the heaviest out there, but had some weight to them. And then after evaluating and listening, to what was going on, we thought it's better to reduce our footprint in any way that we can. The first way that we can do it is by reducing the weight of our bottles. So Oceano's bottles are the lightest weight bottles that you can find, and they're made of up to 75% recycled glass. So that is one way. Then our closures, so how we keep the wine in the bottle, we use 100% natural cork, which is reusable. It can be used for gymnasiums, tennis shoes, a host of things. You just have to bring your corks to be repurposed, and different businesses offer that. One of them is Whole Foods. You can collect all of your corks, bring them there. They'll take them from you.
That is a great tip to know. I didn't know that.
Yes. And then with our new project, Oceano Zero, which we can get into.
We're going to get into that. Yes.
Use 100% recyclable screw cap closures. So you just, throw your glass in the glass bin, and then your cans or aluminum in that bin, and, you're taking care of the environment. Our vineyard, or not our vineyard, Spanish Springs Vineyard. I think of it as my vineyard. I love it so much. Spanish Springs Vineyard is SIP certified sustainable. That's SIP, sustainability in practice. That means that we are taking care of the people, planet, and prosperity through that. So people is paying a living wage, offering access to healthcare, and on-the-job training in Spanish and English. We don't use herbicides or pesticides. All of our sprays are certified organic. The water use is taken into consideration as well. And all of the water we use to irrigate the vines comes from a natural aquifer on the property. We have goat and sheep roaming the property, taking care of the grass and the weeds, and reducing fire pressure along the way. So it's cute, but it's also great for the planet, for us all to prosper. So those are the ways that we're being as sustainable as we can. And if new things come along, we will adopt to that as well.
But I love that, because you don't have to do it.
No.
So you're really, I love that you're doing that.
It's a passion.
Now, and it's obvious. I mean, it really is. It comes through. But now let's really talk about your new passion, because this is pretty exciting. Let's talk about Oceano Zero.
I mean, right now it's really a big deal. We all care so much about our health, physical health, mental health, and reducing our consumption of alcohol improves both of those things and our health in general. Not everyone drinks alcohol. So you could think of it as creating an inclusive celebrations, inclusive holidays, inclusive environment for all. No one should be left out of toasting with a great glass of wine. It just doesn't have to have alcohol in it. So Oceano Zero is the industry's first luxury non-alcoholic Pinot Noir. Luxury because we start with our own wine, our fine wine. So we have the best grapes. Spanish Springs Vineyard is one of the most sought after vineyards for fruit in the state of California. There are 36 producers like me who are sourcing from Spanish Springs because it's so incredible. So we start out with the best fruit. We apply the most innovative winemaking decisions. So we have a master winemaker. Her name is Marin Walgamot. And so she turns our amazing grapes into beautiful wines. We use only the best French oak barrels. And then the next step is we're removing the alcohol. And we do that in the most gentle way possible, which is called a spinning cone column process. It's not necessary to heat up the wine in order to do this process, because heating the wine to a certain temperature will damage the character and reduce the quality of the wine. We don't have to do that. So the wine is put into this cone of columns that are spinning, spins out the alcohol, and preserves the aromas on a thin alcohol base, a thin film. So we add a little bit of that back into the wine. So our non-alcoholic wines are less than 0.5% alcohol. It's a great option for during the week. I love to drink wine. And now that I have a fine non-alcoholic wine that I can enjoy, that's my go-to during the week. And more so on the weekends as well. As I said in the beginning, I started enjoying wine at a very young age. And I've been consuming alcohol. It's our industry and it's kind of what we do. But now you could do it without the alcohol, looking after for yourself, but also creating this inclusive table for whether your religion eliminates alcohol from your daily life, or if you're pregnant, or whatever the reasons are. Everyone can toast now that we have Oceano Zero and other wines like that.
Well, and it's so great because I love wine. Like I don't drink liquor. Like I love wine, but I love wine a lot. And I love, I'm talking and I'm drinking and it's so exciting. And there are no good non-alcoholic wines on the market, or nothing that I have found until this. Which is so amazing that there's actually, you feel like you're drinking a really nice glass of wine. I'm long gone are the days of the Franzia box. That was like college and post-college.
Yes. Ciao.
I have acquired a taste for good wine.
That's
so you're right.
It's a great thing. That's a great.
It is. It's a great alternative, and getting older, and and if you're pregnant, like there's so many things, and it's so nice. And you're going all in on this. Like, I know you're super passionate about it.
I am. It's improved my own life. So Oceano Zero opened up my mind. I started Oceano Zero last year around October. We had just harvested, and I thought, well, I looked at the non-alcoholic market and I tasted everything that I could. And I was I was concerned. I was like, God, all this wine tastes like bulk wine, like no one really cared about the source. And I thought, where's my place here? Why am I considering this? And then I realized, well, I can bring fine wine to all the people that this matters to. So that I found my calling that way. And then I participated in Dry January this year. It changed my life. Like I was saying, I didn't drink for the month and everything improved for me. My clarity, focus, my sleep, and being present, 100% present for those connections. Most mistakes in people's lives typically are made when they're intoxicated. And you have more time to think things through, and you're more your authentic self when you're not intoxicated. Let's just be honest. So Oceano Zero is a very exciting because I think it's the future.
I love it. And I know you just launched. So where can we find it? Is it in stores yet? Is it only on your website?
Stores. It's on our website. So all of our wines are on our website, which is oceanowines.com. You'll see Shop Oceano Zero and Shop Oceano Wines. And also online at Boisson. Boisson means it's to drink, or a drink in French. Yeah. And so there's a company, they have in-store as well as online. So Boisson is located in New York, multiple locations, LA and San Francisco, and soon opening in Miami, but everyone can purchase it online. And they specialize in adult non-alcoholic beverages. So you can pick up a bottle of Oceano Zero, but in a host of other delicious options as well.
Okay, great. We'll put that in the show notes. We'll link directly to it. And right now it's just the Pinot Noir, right? And then we got a Chardonnay coming.
Pinot Noir. All of our wines are in barrel right now. And we have Pinot Noir, of course, Chardonnay, and Syrah. Sorry, I'm very excited about that because I've never made Syrah before. So those three varieties are going to be available as Oceano Zero. So that's our 2023 vintage, will be available April of 2024. With non-alcoholic wine, you don't have to age it as long, and it's available to drink sooner. So it actually helps a lot when you're the creator. You could start selling sooner.
There you go. I love it. Oh my gosh. What an exciting journey. What's next?
Oh, geez. What's next? We are speaking with importers. So Oceano Wines and Oceano Zero next year will be imported to Greece. And Canada as well. So we're looking, especially with Oceano Wines, our traditional wines, we're going to keep them very small production. Oceano Zero, we're looking to be a global brand. So we're extending our distribution to those two countries, and then we'll be opening up the UK and the EU as well. So I'm hoping to get all of that, God help me, but I'm hoping to get all of that done in 2024.
You will. There's not a doubt in my mind. So we wrap up every show with the same two questions. What is the greatest thing you have accomplished since you turned 50?
Okay. Well, there's so many things. And I don't mean to be obvious, but I would have to say Oceano Zero is my greatest accomplishment since I turned 50. So that's, that's 2 years.
That's exciting. And then where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh boy, I see myself traveling the world in 10 years, representing my brand, Oceano Zero, all over the world, and doing that, of course, with my husband, Kurt.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Christina. I just love being with you. So fun.
So everybody check out Oceano Wines, check out Oceano Zero. It's a game changer. Very exciting. So thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.